Adrenal insufficiency. Etiology. The adrenal cortex produces glucocorticoids like cortisol and mineralocorticoids like aldosterone. Adrenal insufficiency occurs when insufficient glucocorticoids or mineralocorticoids are produced to meet the metabolic demands of the body. Etiologies of primary adrenal insufficiency include adrenal atrophy or autoimmune destruction of the adrenal gland, which is most common in the Western world. Granulomatous infection, for example, tuberculosis, is most common in the developing world. Metastasis to adrenal glands, most commonly from lung and breast cancers. Other causes include HIV, infarction of the adrenal gland, Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome, disseminated intravascular coagulation. Primary adrenal insufficiency. Primary adrenal insufficiency, also called Addison disease, is a failure of the adrenal cortex. In primary adrenal insufficiency, the problem is within the adrenal gland itself. Primary insufficiency can be further differentiated into acute and chronic forms. The most common cause of primary adrenal insufficiency in the Western world is autoimmune destruction of the adrenal cortex. Infective disorders such as tuberculosis, which is the most common cause worldwide, or histoplasmosis, are common infective causes of primary adrenal insufficiency. There's also a high infective rate in AIDS patients. Cancers that commonly metastasize to the adrenal glands and cause primary adrenal insufficiency include lung cancer, breast cancer, melanoma. Hemorrhagic adrenal infarction is common postoperatively in sepsis, frequently in cases of meningococcal sepsis or in any hypercoagulable state. Acute primary adrenal insufficiency is adrenal failure that has a sudden onset, and the predominant manifestation of adrenal crisis is shock. And here, there will be a sudden and rapid decrease in endogenous steroids. This can result from massive adrenal hemorrhage, as in Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. This is most commonly caused by a bloodstream infection by Neisseria meningitidis. Chronic primary adrenal insufficiency is also known as Addison's disease. Addison's disease is most commonly caused by autoimmune destruction of the adrenal glands or by adrenal infection with HIV, tuberculosis, or other pathogens. The manifestations of primary adrenal insufficiency are decreased aldosterone and cortisol. Findings include hyponatremia, volume contraction, hypotension, hyperkalemia, hypoglycemia, increased skin pigmentation. Proopiomelanocortin is a precursor for adrenocorticotropic hormone and melanocyte-stimulating hormone and is elevated in primary adrenal insufficiency. Hydrolysis of proopiomelanocortin yields adrenocorticotropic hormone and melanocyte-stimulating hormone, which activate melanocortin receptors on melanocytes, leading to skin hyperpigmentation. Patients often have nonspecific symptoms such as anorexia, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, weakness, fatigue, lethargy, fever, confusion, or coma. Hyponatremia and hyperkalemia can be suggestive of primary adrenal insufficiency because deficient adrenal may also lower the production of mineralocorticoid hormones. For example, aldosterone, and patients display altered mineral sodium and potassium homeostasis. Remember that aldosterone tells the kidney to retain sodium and excrete potassium and hydrogen. So when aldosterone is low, there tends to be hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, and metabolic acidosis. Low blood pressure occurs because low cortisol makes the vascular myocytes less sensitive to epinephrine. So they can't constrict to maintain the blood pressure. Lack of aldosterone also contributes to the low blood pressure. Salt cravings are seen in some patients because of a concurrent deficiency in the mineralocorticoid aldosterone, which reabsorbs sodium from the kidney. The high eosinophil count seen in some patients with primary Addison disease may be part of the autoimmune syndrome that leads to adrenal destruction. Secondary adrenal insufficiency. Secondary adrenal insufficiency is caused by a primary insufficiency of pituitary adrenocorticotropic hormone secretion. With decreased production of adrenocorticotropic hormone, the adrenal gland is not stimulated to produce and synthesize adequate supplies of endogenous steroids, primarily glucocorticoids. Chronic use of exogenous glucocorticoid drugs is the most common cause of adrenocorticotropic hormone deficiency because these medications suppress the hypothalamus-pituitary adrenal axis, leading to adrenal insufficiency. Pituitary adenomas are a common cause of suppressed adrenocorticotropic hormone. Secondary adrenal insufficiency may develop, particularly if the steroids are abruptly stopped. Other causes of secondary adrenal insufficiency include autoimmune destruction of the pituitary gland, a traumatic brain injury leading to the destruction of the pituitary gland, and pituitary hemorrhage. These are often accompanied by deficiencies in other pituitary hormones like growth hormone or prolactin. Metabolism in the zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex is not controlled by adrenocorticotropic hormone. It's stimulated by high potassium. So, aldosterone is largely unaffected in patients with secondary adrenal insufficiency. Patients with secondary adrenal insufficiency present with profound hypoglycemia and low testosterone. There is no hyperpigmentation in secondary adrenal insufficiency because adrenocorticotropic hormone and melanocyte-stimulating hormone is not being produced. Abrupt discontinuation of high-dose glucocorticoids can lead to an adrenal crisis in these patients because the patient lacks the ability to make their own endogenous steroids. This can cause sudden hypoglycemia and hypotension and can be lethal. For this reason, many hypotensive patients in the intensive care unit are initially given a single dose of cortisol to ensure that any hypocortisolism is treated. To avoid this drug effect, patients should be slowly tapered off their glucocorticoid medications based on the length and dosage of the steroid treatment. Note: secondary adrenal insufficiency also does not cause hyperkalemia or metabolic acidosis because the adrenal ability to make aldosterone is preserved, and the primary regulator of aldosterone is the renin-angiotensin system, which is intact. Tertiary adrenal insufficiency. Tertiary adrenal insufficiency is caused by insufficient hypothalamic corticotropin-releasing hormone secretion, with or without accompanying suppression of adrenocorticotropic hormone secretion. Rapid cessation of chronic high-dose glucocorticoids is the most common etiology of tertiary adrenal insufficiency. Tertiary adrenal insufficiency also occurs in individuals who have been definitely treated for Cushing syndrome via resection of an adrenocorticotropic hormone or cortisol-secreting tumor. Diagnosis. The initial evaluation of adrenal insufficiency involves 3 components. 8 a.m. serum cortisol. Normally, serum cortisol is highest in the morning. If the early morning serum cortisol concentration is low, this is strongly suggestive of adrenal gland dysfunction due to either primary or secondary disease. Plasma adrenocorticotropic hormone levels. A high plasma adrenocorticotropic hormone concentration is suggestive of primary adrenal insufficiency. The increased adrenocorticotropic hormone is due to low adrenal cortisol production, resulting in the loss of negative feedback on the hypothalamus-pituitary adrenal axis and pituitary compensation. A low adrenocorticotropic hormone level suggests secondary adrenal insufficiency, where the pituitary gland is not making adrenocorticotropic hormone. Adrenocorticotropic hormone concentropin stimulation test. Following administration of the synthetic adrenocorticotropic hormone analog concentropin, plasma cortisol levels are measured. If serum cortisol does not appropriately increase following concentropin administration, primary adrenal failure is present. If the serum cortisol is appropriately increased following concentropin administration, adrenal function is intact and hypothalamic pituitary disease is likely. Complications. Shock is the most severe complication of adrenal insufficiency. This is known as an adrenal crisis and should be treated emergently in cases of high clinical suspicion. Adrenal crisis may be precipitated by stress, such as surgery or sepsis. Suspected in a patient with chronic illness or known adrenal insufficiency who has refractory hypotension, hyponatremia, and hyperkalemia. Patients present with fever, altered mental state, weakness, and vascular collapse. Treatment. Acute primary adrenal insufficiency is managed with intravenous dexamethasone to quickly replace the endogenous steroids the patient is missing. Mineralocorticoid administration is not necessary for the acute setting. The goal of therapy is the treatment of hypotension and the reversal of electrolyte abnormalities and of cortisol deficiency. Large volumes, 1 to 3 liters, of 0.9% saline solution, or 5% dextrose and 0.9% saline, should be infused intravenously to correct hypovolemia and hyponatremia associated with mineralocorticoid deficiency. Patients who require long-term glucocorticoid therapy must be educated never to stop them suddenly, so as to avoid acute adrenal insufficiency. These medications should instead be slowly tapered off over weeks or months. Maintenance pharmacotherapy for individuals with chronic primary adrenal insufficiency includes hydrocortisone, fludrocortisone, a potent synthetic mineralocorticoid that acts like aldosterone, dihydroepiandrosterone, recommended in select women with impaired psychological well-being, for example, decreased mood, who are on optimized glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid therapy. Maintenance therapy for patients with secondary adrenal insufficiency is glucocorticoids, for example, hydrocortisone, dexamethasone, or prednisone. Note that in contrast to primary adrenal insufficiency, mineralocorticoid replacement is not required in patients with secondary adrenal insufficiency. For patients who present with adrenal crisis, we administer hydrocortisone, 100 mg intravenous bolus, followed by 50 mg intravenously every 6 hours, or 200 mg as a continuous intravenous infusion for the first 24 hours. If hydrocortisone is unavailable, alternatives include methylprednisolone and dexamethasone. Stress dosing, increased doses of steroids, are given in settings of increased stress, such as infection or surgery. That's all for the video. We'll see you next time.